Well, in the world of sports betting, the first rule is don't bet every game. We're going to take a closer look at the games that have no clear sharp edge. We call them toss-ups. And the Chief Product Officer at the Quant Edge, Eliot, Crist, is here to kind of help us wade through this process here. Let's start with Indianapolis getting a point in Pittsburgh. Now, interesting, the money line is actually even in this game, even though it's a 1-point spread. How do you see this game playing out?
I think the T.Y. Hilton injury is a big deal on this one. They've historically done a lot worse than without him. And the fact that the Steelers can protect their quarterback and they can get after the quarterback, and with Minkah Fitzpatrick, their defense has really taken it up to the next level. The biggest concern is Mason Rudolph has looked very bad in almost all of his starts, which is why it's not even a lean. But I do think that the Steelers, if I had to pick, would be the right side.
Yeah, well, I mean, he debuted against Miami, but Indy is clearly a stiffer challenge than the Dolphins.
Yeah, he's played games against the Bengals, the 49ers, and he didn't look good against the 49ers and the Dolphins. And the game against the Bengals, they made Jalen Samuel play more quarterback than he did almost in the Wildcat.
Right, that's true. So I guess Mason Rudolph would not be somebody that you'd be picking up on the fantasy roster anytime soon?
No, that is a no-no. We're not doing that one.
All right, even in Superflex, we are not going with Mason Rudolph. Sorry, Mason. Washington getting 10.5 against Buffalo. The Bills didn't look impressive enough last week, but is this more based on Washington's futility, I guess?
Yeah, it's got to be. And specifically Dwayne Haskins, right? He's been put in two really, really bad situations, against the Giants and against the Vikings, down big, thrown in the fire, and it hasn't looked good. So we'll see how he does with a full start, but he's looked really bad this year. But at the same time, the Bills favored by 10.5 over anybody feels too high.
Just so high.
I mean, this team has struggled, especially Josh Allen, and he is an interception guy. He's a fumble guy. He takes bad sacks. This Redskins defense is actually respectable. Quentin Dunbar has been one of PFF's top-graded cornerbacks this season, and if he can eliminate John Brown, it's just going to be underneath passing, and Josh Allen has not been efficient in that area.
According to Vegas odds, this is one of the least bet games of the year so far this year. Do you think that plays into why this line isn't going to be budging and why there could be a sharp angle on it?
I think the Redskins are the right side. No one wants to put money on them, but I think no one wants to put money on this game because no one wants to have to watch it.
Okay, well, so then I'll break it down even further. Washington is 28th in rushing offense. The Bills are 28th in rush defense. So clearly there shouldn't be. I don't even know. This is like the worst of two evils with the run game is being displayed.
And Bill Callahan is an old school coach, and he believes in running the football. I think the first thing he said when he got hired was, "I want to run the football even if it's inefficient. That's what I want to do."
We've seen what that looks like, though, unfortunately.
And he's done it.
Yeah. Darius Guice, Adrian Peterson, anybody else that we can throw in the mix
Wendell
there?
Smallwood is in the mix now.
You can throw anybody out there for the Redskins because it seems like no matter who they throw out there, they're getting 15 carries and 25 yards.
Yeah, it's not been going great, but they're gonna stick with it. And if it is Buffalo's Achilles heel, there's a good chance, especially with Dwayne Haskins, that they just continue to try to run the football in this one.
All right, Chicago getting 4.5 at the Eagles. Are you a believer in David Montgomery?
I think David Montgomery's a good player. I think he's got excellent contact balance. He can break tackles, doesn't have the long end speed. He's a solid receiver. This is not the week for David Montgomery, though, against that Eagles defense, which is elite against the run. Where they've struggled is their secondary, but, Mills is back, Darby's back. They've been a little bit better. But Allen Robinson, if you want to do a prop bet, is a good guy to target this week because if the Eagles funnel the ball to the air, Robinson is seeing a ton of the targets and a ton of air yards, which is, the passes down the field. So he could have a big game this week. But the side I'd want is the Eagles. Deshaun Jackson's coming back. You look at every quarterback he's ever played with, their yards per attempt, which is one of the most efficient metrics. I mean, Troy Aikman doesn't think that, but most people think that. One of the most efficient metrics there are for quarterbacks. Every one of them has jumped by at least a full yard. And Carson Wentz had his best game with Deshaun Jackson in week 1, and they haven't looked like the same offense without him. So I think that's a huge boost this week for the Eagles.
I'm kind of interested in that prop bet you said with Allen Robinson because it's not like this Bears passing attack has been lighting things up.
No, but if he's going to see 25% of the targets and 40% of the air yards, we're looking at a guy that's going to get 8 to 12 targets, and they're going to be 15-plus yards down the field. that starts to add up real quick when his prop number's probably going to come out. We're Friday. We're a little early on that one, so we don't have the line.
That's where you can find hidden money sometimes.
If it's probably going to come out around 68 would be my guess, and that's too low. It should probably be closer to 78 or 80.
All right, the Jaguars getting a 1.5 against the Texans in London. How do these London games play out?
See, this is a game that I wouldn't bet. The Texans have a lot of injuries. No J.J. Watt, which has really affected their rush defense. Tunsil's questionable, and we know that you need to protect Watson. The Jaguars have been a very inconsistent team this year. Minshew's looked really good. Watson's on one side and has pulled a lot of rabbits out of the hat this year. Last week he got kicked in the face, held his eye, and then threw a touchdown pass to beat the Raiders. I mean, he's been nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, They had the game against the Saints where they had the game won, and the Saints came back with 30 seconds to go, or 27 seconds to go, and got to kick the game-winning field goal. So I think the Texans are the more talented team. But in London, missing a bunch of players, there's so many different ways this game could go that it's probably a stay away for me. If I had to pick, it would be the Texans, though.
Chiefs home dogs getting 2.5 against Minnesota. Yeah. Second straight week the Chiefs are home dogs.
Yeah, that's a really good sign that Patrick Mahomes, who's questionable, is not going to play. And what the Chiefs have really struggled with is stopping running backs. And Dalvin Cook is a bad guy to come to town if you're going to struggle to stop running backs. Right. And Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Diggs has been one of the best receivers in the league. Kirk Cousins has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league from a completion percentage, from a yards per attempt standpoint. I think the Vikings can match up decently with this team. I think Hill and Kelsey will have some big plays, but ultimately the Vikings will pull this game out.
All right, and finally another home dog, the Chargers getting 3.5 hosting the Packers. Packers look like world beaters right now.
They do. And Adams may come back. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams. They've been nothing short of spectacular. Aaron Rodgers is now clicking. Their defense has been really good. The Chargers they have a very valuable name, but they have not played good football. They should have lost to the Bears last week. The Bears missed a field goal late. But this team is bottom 20 DVOA against the pass, bottom 20 DVOA against the run. The Packers have every advantage here where they sure seem like the right side. Only being 3.5 road favorites makes it feel like a bit of a trap. But ultimately, I think the Packers are the right side in this one.
Yeah, they have looked like this is the Packers offense that we expected at the beginning of the season. Sometimes it just takes a few weeks to finally get things in order. And now we're looking at the Packers as a possible NFC contender here.
What's Aaron Rodgers famous for, right? When they struggled he just said, relax, relax.
We got this. That's right. Think about that. And that seems like a year ago. Yeah. It seems like 2 years ago when he said that.
And now it's 4 games in this year, and he's just like, and guys, here we go again.
All right, so that's a look at his toss-up bets. Make sure you check out his top plays and the games he's leaning towards in our other segments on CBSN New York. For Eliot, Crist from the Quant Edge, I'm Steve Overmyer, and this is Fanalysis.